The story centers around a young man who's been striving for years to awaken his potential, but to no avail. Despite his efforts, he remains stuck in a state of stasis. However, his circumstances change dramatically when he is unexpectedly transported back in time to an era of heroes. Given a second chance at life, the protagonist is determined to achieve his dream of revolutionizing the unjust world system that has held him back for so long. As the story unfolds, we are taken back to the year 2020, which marks a catastrophe turning point in human history. A mysterious gate connecting our world to another dimension has opened, unleashing a wave of monstrous attacks that threaten to annihilate humanity. Governments around the world send soldiers to investigate, but none return. Amidst the chaos, a chosen few receive transcendent gifts and become known as the Hunters, wielding extraordinary powers to fight against the monsters and save humanity from extinction. Humanity's salvation from extinction lies in the hands of powerful hunters who possess various powers that enable them to fight against monsters. Among these hunters is a remarkable figure known by the nickname Demon King, who stands out from the rest due to his ability to develop independently through hunting. The Immortal Legion and the mastery of Emergence Flame are just two examples of the many manifestations of hunters. However, the immense power possessed by the Demon King is feared by even the 12 transcended heroes, who call themselves heroes. Eventually, these 12 transcended heroes fought back against the Demon King and erased him from existence. But their victory was bittersweet as they discovered Eden after his deletion. Eden exerted its power and chose the hunters as the new ruling class, while the others who were unable to become hunters were reduced to slaves. Ever since, the world has been completely dominated by hunters, leaving those who are unable to awaken their powers subjected to constant humiliation and discrimination. Our attention shifts to the protagonist, Lee Chong, who is training with his mentor Sung-gu Hyung. During this training session, it is revealed that Lee Chong is one of those unfortunate individuals who has not yet awakened his hunter abilities. Despite his lack of awakening, Lee Chong refuses to give up and continues to train tirelessly, hoping to catch the attention of a sponsor who can help him awaken. However, after a year of training under Sung-gu Hyung's guidance, there are no signs of any progress. Lee Chong starts to feel disheartened and doubts the worth of his efforts. It is at this moment that Sung-gu Hyung, noticing Lee Chong's struggle, slaps him and reminds him of his true motivation to become a hunter. To challenge the system of discrimination practiced by Eden and the hunters, Lee Chong is jolted back to reality and redoubles his efforts to achieve his dream. Hyung assures Chong that he will become a hunter someday and reminds him to always carry the book left by his parents, the autobiography of the Demon King, which holds great importance. Despite not understanding its contents, Chong always carries the book as instructed by his teacher. Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by an attack from above, but Hyung's trained instincts allow him to save Chong. It is then revealed that the attack is initiated by a woman named Athena, who is actually one of the 12 transcended heroes of Eden. Chong is taken aback by her sudden appearance and cannot fathom why a transcended hero would attack him. Athena had arrived there with a purpose, seeking the Demon King's autobiography. It is clear from her immense strength that she is a force to be reckoned with, causing Chong to cower in terror at the mere sight of her. Athena initially suspects that Hyung may have the book she seeks, but upon encountering Chong, she senses that he possesses magic, albeit in a small amount. This strikes Athena as peculiar, and she demands that Chong reveal any items he has hidden from her. Her hunch is proven right when she finds that Chong is indeed in possession of the coveted autobiography. The fact that a mere human has read it infuriates her, and she declares that he deserves no mercy and should be put to death. As Athena's attack is halted by Hyung's intervention, Chong witnesses the awe-inspiring display of Hyung's strength, throwing one of the 12 transcended heroes to the far corner. The sheer power of Hyung leaves Chong astonished, making him wonder about Hyung's true identity. The impossible situation causes Lee to remain silent, sensing the gravity of the situation. Then, Hyung poses a thought-provoking question to Chong. What if he were to gain great power? Could he change the world system? Initially, Chong is doubtful. having lost confidence after witnessing the incredible power of Eden. However, as he observes Hyung's overwhelming power, Chang gains assurance and realizes that he can make a difference in the world. Promising to keep his word, Chang agrees to accept the challenge posed by Hyung. As Hyung hears Chang's promise, a smile spreads across his face, knowing that Chang has the potential to bring change to the world. Then, without any hesitation, he draws his sword and kills Chang. As Chang draws his final breath, Hyung's words reverberate in his mind. "If you meet me there, be nice to me." In that fleeting moment, Chang is engulfed by an intense yellow and white light radiating from his body. A system message appears bearing the sponsorship of the fall of heaven, indicating an ominous significance. Suddenly, Chang finds himself transported to a place both unfamiliar and shrouded in mystery. As he takes stock of his physical self, he becomes acutely aware of an immense power coursing through his veins, indicating that he has indeed awakened and become a hunter. Looking around, Lee Chang realizes that he has been transported inside a gate, a realization that chills him to the bone. Soon enough, he comes face to face with a goblin, a being that he has only ever heard of in tales, causing him to cower in fear and seek sanctuary. Upon recalling Hyung's words, Chang musters the courage to attack. Despite being a novice hunter, he has undergone a year's worth of training under his teacher's tutelage. With determination in his heart, Chang prepares to fight the goblin before him. As he lunges forward, he finds himself unexpectedly delivering a powerful punch that lands squarely on the goblin's head. To his amazement, the blow is fatal, and the goblin falls to the ground lifeless. Chang is left incredulous, unable to believe the newfound strength coursing through his veins. After deftly dispatching his first goblin, a system notification pops up, informing Chang that Fall of the Heaven is closely monitoring his progress. Recalling Hyung's words, Chang realizes that Fall of the Heaven was a sponsor to the Demon King of great renown. Excitement returns to terror as waves of goblins descend upon the area, led by the imposing goblin chieftain, whose mere presence strikes fear into Chang's heart. As panic sets in, Chang doubts his ability to defeat the monstrous creature, wondering if he's bitten off more than he can chew. Thorough research suggests that the goblin chieftain is at least on par with a formidable C-rank hunter, making it a daunting challenge for Chang to overcome. Chang refuses to give up and fights back against the monster, even if it means risking everything. He charges forward and slashes several goblins, defeating them in his combat stance. With every goblin defeated, Chang's level increases, making him even stronger. Suddenly, in the midst of the battle, Fall of the Heaven shows its support by bestowing upon him a staff imbued with the power of fire. Chang quickly puts the weapon to use and charges toward the goblin chieftain, determined to take it down. With the staff in hand, he manages to kill the monster, leveling up yet again. Exhausted from the intense battle, Chang eventually faints from exhaustion, but not before achieving a hard-fought victory. As he slowly regains consciousness, he realizes that he is in the hospital receiving treatment. As he tries to make sense of the situation, he hears one of the nurses present mention the League Guild. According to her, the League Guild has played a crucial role in saving Chang's life. The realization of how close he was to losing his life overwhelms him, and he feels grateful for the timely intervention. As he tries to regain his bearings, Chang can't help but wonder about the current year. The nurse present senses his confusion and informs him that it is 2022. The news shocks Chang, and he is left in disbelief. He hadn't expected to be thrown back in time and is still trying to process the fact that he missed an entire year. As he tries to come to terms with the present, he can't help but notice a renewed sense of purpose in the air. Upon inquiring further, he learns that numerous exceptional hunters have emerged, each vying to make a name for themselves. This year in particular is being hailed as the Year of Heroes. As soon as Chang learns of the corruption within the discrimination system, he springs into action, fueled by a burning desire to bring about change. He refuses to sit idly by and watch as countless innocent lives are destroyed by the injustice perpetrated by those in power. He is determined to fight for what is right, no matter the cost. Without hesitation, Chang sets his plan in motion, determined to become stronger than the 12 transcendent heroes who control the system. He knows that the road ahead will be long and treacherous, but he is willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goal. Before he can start his mission, however, he needs to heal from his previous injuries. He focuses on his recovery, determined to come back stronger and more determined than ever before. One afternoon, Chong is approached by a man named Kim, who introduces himself as a member of the association. Kim arrives, demanding to know who Chong is and why he entered the gate alone. Chong is taken aback by Kim's sudden appearance and immediately senses that something is amiss. After discovering that none of the data he found about Chong matched, Kim becomes intrigued and demands to know more. Chong explains that he suddenly appeared at the gate, unable to remember anything about his past. He keeps the truth about being thrown into the past to himself. Kim decides to meet with Chong again later, hoping to uncover the truth about this mysterious newcomer. After Kim departs, Chong checks his status and discovers that he is the status of a player, which is the same as the Demon King. His mind races with possibilities as he tries to make sense of his newfound power. He is exhilarated and afraid all at once, uncertain about what this means for his future. But one thing is certain, he is determined to use his newfound strength to bring about change and create a better future for himself and those around him. As Chong is recuperating in the hospital, he can hardly contain his excitement. He knows that his plan is finally within reach, and he is eager to make it a reality. After several days of rest and recovery, he's given permission to leave the hospital and return home. As he walks around, Chong is struck by the vibrant energy of the city. He is thrilled to discover that he has been thrown into the age of heroes and finds himself in the center of the city where the hunters gather. Just as he is taking it all in, he is approached by Kim, a member of the association. Kim is intrigued by Chong's unusual circumstances and extends an invitation to join the association. Kim offers to provide Chong with a place to live and a new identity. He is impressed by Chong's accomplishments and congratulates him on becoming a hunter. He explains that hunters like Chong, who have managed to attain hunter rank C in their awakening, are highly valued by the association. As someone born with such potential, Chong will receive special treatment, support, and resources to help him develop his abilities and fulfill his potential. Kim adds that the association recognizes that individuals with Chong's talents and abilities are rare and have the potential to become powerful hunters, capable of making significant contributions to the world. Chong arrives at his new lodgings and is pleasantly surprised by the high quality of the facilities he has been provided with. Kim informs him that someone is eager to meet him, which piques Chong's curiosity. When he finally meets the person in question, he is thrilled to discover that it is none other than Song-gu Hyung, the highly respected guild master of the League Guild and Chong's former teacher. Chong can hardly believe his luck at being reunited with his former mentor. As Chong reflects on the cryptic messages of his mentor from the future, he gradually deduces that it was Hyung who orchestrated his journey back to the past. Hyung's motivation for this action are evidently driven by his unwavering commitment to establishing a fair and harmonious world order. Despite being unable to divulge his revelation to anyone else, Chong feels an immense sense of indebtedness towards Hyung for his salvation from a bleak and uncertain future. Chong's eyes flutter open as he receives instructions for the next task. He learns that he must take part in the beginner's tutorials for hunters, which serves to discover gifted individuals that can assist the association's pursuit of global harmony. B. Song-soo, an accomplished B-rank hunter, is currently at the helm of the tutorial, offering guidance to the participants so to enable them to conquer each upcoming challenge in the future. The hunters are filled with a fiery enthusiasm, fueled by the prospect of earning entry into the country's premier guilds. As the tutorial draws near, Sang-soo poses a thought-provoking query to several hunters, asking them to articulate the rationale behind sponsors conferring immense power upon hunters. The hunters find themselves at a loss for words, unable to furnish an explanation for this mystery. In a sudden moment of clarity, Chong voices his opinion, suggesting that the sponsors do so for the purpose of entertainment, much like a virtual world where one selects a character and observes its journey of growth and development. Chong's insights come to fruition as he had witnessed to the Demon King's intense battles in his past life. With that, the tutorial commences. The challenge is seemingly uncomplicated. Each hunter must battle a group of goblins who have been meticulously prepared for the task. At first, trepidation ripples through the hunters as they ponder how to face the goblins alone. Yet Sue assuages their fears, explaining that the goblins have been subjected to brainwashing and are thus unable to harm humans. options. To sway the remaining hunters, Su reinforces his point by reiterating that he will be readily available to provide assistance should any unexpected circumstances arise. The official tutorial commences, and the progress of the hunters is as varied as their individual experiences. Some emerge triumphant, while others fall short of their goals. Chong, like his peers, faces the challenge of taking down a powerful opponent. However, while others face standard goblins, Chong's task is much more daunting. He must confront a formidable orc, a foe that presents a much greater challenge than what his peers are up against. Onlookers are left astonished and incredulous after witnessing a novice hunter stand erect before a fierce monster. The question that immediately arises is how can someone with little experience fight, let alone defeat such a powerful creature? Su explains that Chong has previously faced and defeated a high-ranked monster boss, despite being a novice hunter, which gives him the confidence and ability to stand in front of a C-ranked monster. Although it is undoubtedly a challenging task, Su believes that Chong is capable of overcoming it. Once the duel begins, Chong wastes no time and launches an attack using his trusty spear. The spear pierces the goblin's arm, but unfortunately the strike has no effect, and the goblin retaliates, cornering Chong. Su is ready to intervene and help, but much to everyone's surprise, Chong executes a swift and agile maneuver, which enables him to easily overthrow the goblin. The crowd is left in utter disbelief, unable to fathom how a novice hunter can take down a formidable sea-level goblin. Due to Chong's immense strength, his spear weapon is destroyed and it can't withstand the force of his power. Later that afternoon, Hyung and Kim visit Chong. Interestingly, it is revealed that Kim is a woman, not a man. The association party designates Kim as an assistant for Lee Chong, whom Songgu Hyung is also comfortable with. When Hyung extends an offer for Chong to join the Lee Guild, Chong politely refuses. We learn that his decision is not driven by arrogance, but rather by his commitment to his plan, which requires him to maintain a safe distance from Hyung and his associates. Despite Hyung's insistence, Chong remains firm in his conviction, determined to protect his future endeavors from any potential complications that may arise from such a union. He fears that any attempts to join them would complicate his future plans. Chong's generous offer to help, despite declining Hyung's invitation, is a testament to his selflessness and dedication to his own plans. His willingness to aid Hyung speaks volume about his character and loyalty to those he respects. Hyung is touched by Chong's sincerity, expresses his gratitude and admiration, promising to keep him in mind should the need for assistance arise in the future. The exchange serves as a reminder that even in a competitive and cutthroat environment, kindness and cooperation can go a long way in forging strong relationships and achieving success. Chong and Hyung engage in a conversation, with Hyung returning the favor while offering his assistance to Chong. He expresses his willingness to help by saying, "If you need help, I will be happy to assist you." Despite having just met, Hyung shares that he already feels a sense of familiarity with Chong, likening it to the bond between brothers. On the next day, Lee arrives at the tutorial pass exam, which takes place inside the gate. Despite being a beginner, he and the other hunters has no reason to worry, as he and his fellow rookies are in capable hands of an experienced and strong rank B hunter. They enter the gate without delay and are greeted with unexpected humidity that differs from what they are accustomed to. The reason for this change in the atmosphere is the abundance of magic present in the gate, which Chong and his companions will soon discover. Under their leader's guidance, they forge ahead down the path, eager to confront any challenges that lie ahead. The leader of the group, a seasoned hunter with years of expertise, takes on the role of a guide and mentor for the group of beginners. He leads them down the path with confidence, sharing his knowledge of the terrain and the monsters that await them. When they encounter the first monster, a goblin lurking in the shadows, the leader instructs the rookies to be cautious and not to underestimate their opponent. As the group prepares to engage in battle, it is Chong's turn to receive an attack instruction. With a swift dash, he charges forward, his spear held firmly in his hand. He moves with grace and precision, his movements fluid and practiced. In one swift motion, he plunges his spear deep into the goblin's horde, slicing each in two with ease. The other beginners are left awestruck by Chong's display of skill and agility. His speed and acumen leave a lasting impression on them, and they look to him with newfound respect. The leader, in particular, is impressed by Chong's strength, noting that he is close to B rank. After his trial, he resolves to recruit Chong, recognizing his potential as a valuable addition to his team. After a while, they reach the dungeon's boss area where the chief instructs all the rookies to get their potions and equipment ready for the upcoming fight. The chief emphasizes that the rookies need to use their full strength if they intend to beat the dungeon boss. Chong Chong, on the other hand, can't shake the thought of the Demon King who possessed the same abilities as a player but was defeated by the 12 heroes before he could reach his full potential. He realizes that the key to avoiding such a tragedy is to grow stronger and become a skilled player. Driven by this determination, Chong pledges to utilize all of his knowledge and skills to become a powerful player and change the outcome of similar incidents in the future. As they step into the boss dungeon area, a sense of foreboding creeps up on everyone, for they are taken aback by the significant increase in the level of the gate. They can't help but wonder what kind of formidable boss awaits them. Sensing their unease, the chief addresses the group, instructing the rookies to brace themselves to escape the gate. Suddenly, from the front, a massive ball of fire materializes, hurtling towards them with frightening speed. The chief, knowing that he must act quickly, springs into action, drawing upon his formidable Viper's Fang skill to deflect the fiery attack. However, despite his valiant efforts, the impact of the spell reverberates throughout the area, leaving everyone shaken and wary of what is yet to come. As the chief valiantly blocks the fiery assault, his armor clangs with each impact and his face is set with fierce determination. Despite his efforts, some of the flames manage to slip past his defenses, causing concern among the group. However, in a moment of true bravery, Chong springs into measures from behind. With swift and sure movements, he expertly extinguishes the remaining embers, calming the frayed nerves of the beginners and adding a new layer of respect to his already impressive reputation. Just as the group is catching their breath, a notification appears on Chong's device. It's a message from a sponsor named Fall of the Heaven, requesting that he vanquish the dungeon's final boss, a fearsome goblin archmage. With a mix of excitement and trepidation, Chong accepts the challenge. He knows that this battle will be the ultimate test of his skills, but he is determined to emerge victorious and add another impressive achievement to his growing list of accomplishments. The Goblin Archmage's long-range fire magic sets him apart from other bosses, making it a formidable opponent for any hunter. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, only the chief possesses the skills to take on this fiery foe. However, Chong, driven by the challenge from the sponsor, steps up to the plate, displaying an unwavering determination to prove himself despite the risks of the mission. Though hesitant at first, the chief ultimately relents to Chong's persistence, passing on the responsibility of the assassination. And so, the young hunter faces his greatest challenge yet, to take down the Goblin Archmage and emerge victorious. As Chong stands firm against the onslaught of the goblin's fire magic, he quickly assesses the situation and prepares to defend himself. Without warning, 3 powerful blasts of high-level fire magic are hurled at him, but Chong doesn't flinch. Instead, he raises his shield with steady hands and braces for impact. In a breathtaking turn of events, the flames appear to be absorbed by his body, leaving Chong unscathed. With renewed confidence, Chong charges forward, determined to take on the Goblin Archmage. However, his progress is abruptly blocked by a barrier, an obstacle that threatens to derail his plans. Despite this setback, Chong remains resolute because he possesses a game-changing skill to overcome the fiery foe. Chong's spear glints in the flickering light as he confidently shouts, "Split apart!" The fiery aura enveloping his weapon shatters the barricade of the boss in an instant, stunning his companions with his strength. Without missing a beat, Chong surges forward at breakneck speed, his fiery spear piercing through the Goblin Archmage until it lies dead at his feet. Mission accomplished. The sponsor, thoroughly impressed by his prowess, rewards Chong with a rare opportunity to summon a monster of himself. As the exam concludes, the chief rushes to report to the association's chairman, regaling him with the tales of Chong's immense talent and potential, and urging the chairman to seize the opportunity to harness his abilities. The chairman of the association immediately requests a recruiting when he learns about Chong. After leaving the building, Kim and Hyung greet Chong. Hyung asks if any guild has recruited him, to which Chong replies that he was recruited by the chief examination the day before, but rejected it. Lee Chong does not want to join any guild because he wants to avoid someone in the association. If he joins a guild, his identity could be revealed. Hyung then invites Chong to dinner to celebrate his success, without thinking about the identity issue. After returning from the party, Chong opens the start menu to analyze his strength. He is surprised to see that he has reached level 11, and is given a chance to summon Avatar. Summoning an Avatar is not a common thing among normal hunters, and only a few of the 12 heroes can do it. Chong is curious and tries to summon his Avatar, but we don't know what it looks like yet. In addition, Kim surprises Chong by reporting that he has made headlines, but his identity is not revealed. However, as usual, the formal John quickly makes a request of Kim. Chong asks her to prepare a dungeon for him to conquer the next day. Chong quickly clears the dungeon that Kim has prepared for him. Despite being alone, Chong finds it quite easy to defeat monsters such as goblins. In fact, he is able to complete 4 dungeons in just a few days, which is quite surprising. Sky of Apocalypse is pleased with your performance as you've worked hard and managed to level up today. It is then that we discover the Avatar that Chong had previously summoned, which is a skull bracelet. Initially, Chong thinks that this Avatar would have the ability to devour monsters' souls after defeating them in the dungeon, but it turns out that it has no such effect. Chong also asks about the next dungeon, to which Kim explains that all dungeons have been rented by a new popular guild called North Army. It is said that North Guild has rented as many as 20 low-level dungeons for their training purposes. Upon realizing this, Chong inquires if the guildmaster of the North Guild is Choi Yong-sun. Kim confirms, yes, that's him. Chong is taken aback because before he came to this place, Choi was just a super rookie, but now he has formed a relatively strong guild. This revelation surprises Chong even more because he knows that Choi will become famous in the future as one of the 12 heroes and will be nicknamed War King Gunther. Choi is an evil individual who is willing to kill numerous people to serve his own purposes. His worst offense is destroying half of the village where Chong lives. The following day, while traveling on the road, Chong encounters 2 oppressive hunters. He quickly intervenes and puts an end to their foolish behavior, blaming everything on them. The Hunters' Legion retaliates by launching their first attack, but Chong is able to counter it by throwing them backward. As Chong stands over the unconscious individual, he can't help but feel a wave of frustration washing over him. He has always prided himself in following the rules set by the association, and yet here he is, forced to resort to violence against an opponent who has broken one of the most basic regulations. As he looks around at the stunned onlookers, he knows that this incident will not go unnoticed. After quickly regaining his composure, Chong turns to his trusted ally, Kim, and requests that they take the 2 individuals to the association. However, Kim's next words catch him off guard. "They're from the North Army Guild," she whispers, her expression grim. Chong's heart sinks. He knows all too well the reputation of the notorious guild, and the thought of retaliation makes his blood run cold. Despite his fears, Chong knows that he has no choice but to face the consequences of his actions. As Chong hears the accusation being leveled against him, his heart sinks. He prides himself on being a fair and just guild member, and the thought of being accused of attacking a merchant makes him feel sick to his stomach. The middle-aged man's actions confuse him. Had he really reported the incident directly to the association without even attempting to resolve the matter with Chong first? Despite his confusion, Chong knows he must remain composed. He knows the dangers of being mistaken as the culprit, especially in a serious situation like this. As he defends himself against the accusations, he presents his case in a clear and logical manner, refusing to let his emotions get the better of him, even as the debate drags on for what feels like an eternity. Finally, just as it seems like all hope is lost, Chong remembers something he learned from a past experience. He had facts twisted against him and learned the importance of having solid evidence to back up his claims. Without hesitation, he reaches into his pocket and pulls out an old recording device. As Chong walks out of the association building, he sees Kim and Hyung waiting for him. He feels relieved to see his trusted allies, knowing that he can count on them to have his back. The middle-aged man approaches Chong with an apologetic look on his face. Chong feels a mix of emotions, including confusion, anger, and a small flicker of sympathy. He cannot understand why the man lied and accused him of attacking a merchant, but he senses there is more to the story than what was revealed in the association hearing. The man explains that he was forced to make the false accusation by the North Army to ensure his son's safety. Chong feels sympathy for the man, knowing the lengths that some guilds would go to exert their influence. Before Chong can respond, Hyung steps forward to take charge. As the guildmaster, he has a reputation for being tough but fair, and Chong knows that he can always count on him to handle situations like this with grace and authority. However, things take a turn for the worse when Choi, a member of the North Army, steps forward and shakes Hyung's hand. The force of his grip is so strong that Hyung's hand is broken, and Chong can feel the tension in the air escalating. Hyung does not flinch though. He meets Choi's gaze with a steely determination, warning warning him that if he ever bothers Chung again, he will be ready to face him. Kim informs Chung the next day that the previous day's issue was resolved with the North Army paying a fine, but Chung is not surprised as he knew that Choi would become corrupt in the future. However, Chung finds it strange that the North Army hasn't made any further moves. Gunther, the North Army's guildmaster, is known for being a ruthless slayer who never backs down from a challenge. This realization makes Chung suspicious, and he asks Kim to closely monitor the North Army's activities and to keep him informed of any new developments. He wants to be updated as soon as possible. John requests Hyung's help for a raid to become stronger. Chung is seeking Hyung's assistance because they are planning to venture into a high-class dungeon with Chung. Chung wants to learn from Hyung, who has ample experience and strength. Yang-soo, Choi's younger brother and founder of the North Army, is having an argument in their residence. Yang-soo is furious that Choi has not taken any action. Meanwhile, the armored man named Jian Chang urges everyone to calm down and focus on resolving their internal issues. Yang-soo and Yin Chang have differing opinions and are on the verge of fighting, but thankfully Choi intervenes and urges Chang to side with Yang-soo. Choi emphasizes that not replying to Chang's challenge would result in the loss of North Army Guild's pride. Chang admires Hyung's leadership and combat skills, and watching him in action during the raid only heightens his respect for the guildmaster. Hyung's group is a force to be reckoned with, moving seamlessly together as they take down each monster with precision and ease. But it is Hyung himself who stands out the most, with his great sword gleaming in the sunlight and emanating an aura of power and strength. Chang has never seen anything like it before, and he can't help but feel a sense of awe as he watches Hyung take down 5 monsters with a single swipe of his blade. As the raid continues, Hyung encourages Chang to display his own strength and skills. At first, Chang is hesitant, as he has always been more of a strategist than a fighter, preferring to stay in the background and support his guildmates from afar. But something in Hyung's words and demeanor sparks a fire within him, and he steps forward with gleaming eyes and a newfound sense of confidence. Chang lets out a fierce roar and launches his spear towards the goblins surrounding him, slaying them all in a single blow. This astonishing feat leaves all the other hunters amazed and wondering how he manages to do it without using any spells. Hyung explains to them that it's not a skill, but rather authority. Once they finish clearing the dungeon, Hyung extends another offer to Chang to join his guild as the Vice Guildmaster. Despite his usual refusal, Chang does not disclose the reason for declining. Soon after, Chang receives a notification on his phone, which states that the Hunter Association needs 100 hunters to clear the gate. The message comes from the North Army, and both Chang and Hyung are aware that it could be a trap. Despite the potential danger, Chang becomes more intrigued with the mission and expresses his interest in participating. In another location, In Chang is extremely frustrated with the mission as he was not informed by the guildmaster about it. He did not anticipate the change in attitude of his childhood friends, Choi and Yang-soo, who are now seeking high-ranking positions for their personal gain. Despite his efforts to reason with them, he believes that they cannot be saved from their current mindset. In-chang cannot bear the thought of leaving things unresolved, and his worries only grow when he receives a call from Chang. In-chang agrees to meet up with him at a certain location. Upon arriving at the agreed-upon location in Kahang, In-chang wastes no time in warning Chang about the mission, stating that it could be a trap orchestrated by Choi. However, Chang's curiosity pushes him to gather more information, even if it means going behind In-chang's back. Chang even goes as far as insulting the North Army Guild by calling them the Chaos Guild, backed by malevolent forces. In-chang becomes enraged and emanates a powerful killing intent, but his anger subsides when Chang mentions the possibility of corruption within the North Army Guild. Negotiations follow, but the outcome remains unclear. Upon returning to the guild, In-chang seeks to uncover Chang's true identity. While admiring In-chang's strength and reputation as a skilled hunter who has defeated the Avatar Demon King and other monsters, Chang also observes that Chang lacks resolve, as evidenced by his defeat by Choi Yang-soo. Nevertheless, Chang sees potential in having Chang join his side and believes that he could help balance the North Army Guild, which is heavily reliant on In-chang's strength to survive. Currently, Chang has recently come to the realization that physical strength alone is insufficient to defeat powerful opponents during his battle with the Limp a few days ago. As a result, he has resumed his training to improve his physique and strength. While he clears dungeons and slays monsters, his spear unexpectedly breaks. To have it repaired, he seeks out the services of the most renowned blacksmith in the future. However, upon arriving at the blacksmith's, a red-haired man named Park Yi-him, Chong discovers that he is currently only running a small business. According to the Demon King's bookies, history would undoubtedly change if Park Yi-him were to assist the Demon King until the very end. Park initially finds Chong's arrival strange, but after Chong explains that he was sponsored to come here, Park no longer doubts him. The issue at hand is that Park is not satisfied with the fire in his workshop, which is hindering him from making the equipment. However, Chong offers to help him overcome the problem with his magic. Park is amazed by Chong's advanced fire magic. After a week, Park successfully crafts a powerful weapon, a spear that can be enhanced with fire magic. The more fire it absorbs, the stronger it becomes. Meanwhile, Chong explores a dungeon and contemplates how to unleash the power of his skull bracelet. However, he has yet to uncover any clues about its true capabilities. Chong is always a hard worker, and he is determined to improve his skills before the next gate deployment. He spends countless hours practicing with his new spear, perfecting his technique and honing his reflexes until he is able to move with lightning-fast speed and deadly accuracy. But all of this training comes at a cost. Chong has barely slept in the past 2 weeks, pushing himself to the brink of exhaustion in his quest for improvement. The following day, Choi instructs all guild members to prepare themselves for the upcoming mission. He believes that after they succeed, the North Army will become the strongest guild in the world. In Chang is surprised by Choi's current aura and wonders how he has not yet reached rank A level. Meanwhile, Yang-Su states that everything is going according to the mysterious person's plan. This motivates all members to complete the gate with excitement. On their way to the gate, Kim Little warns Chong about the North Army Guild. Continuing with the mission means that there is a high chance of death, and Chong is aware of this fact. However, he can't let the North Guild create chaos again. In this situation, Chong is about to teach a lesson on the value of a person. As he approaches the gate, he is surprised to find Hyung there, even though the guild is not allowed in that area. Hyung warns Chong to be careful because Choi is stronger than he thinks. It is revealed that Choi has reached rank A. Hyung waits for Chong to come out, and if he doesn't, he will destroy the guild. Chong is impressed with Hyung's determination. As the hunters wait in anticipation, the dungeon finally opens, signaling the start of their mission. With a resounding creak, the heavy doors slowly swing open, revealing the dark, foreboding depths beyond. But before they can proceed, they are met with a sudden surprise. The system announces a level change and special traits are activated. The hunters exchange worried glances as they try to make sense of what is happening. As for Choi and his two subordinates, they remain composed and in charge of the dungeon. Raising his voice, Choi calls out for everyone to remain calm and not give up hope. With teamwork, he assures them they can overcome any obstacle. It is then that a notification flashes on their screens. The ruler of the riverside is attempting to seize control of the area. This is the moment Choi has been waiting for, his chance to demonstrate his skill in controlling the next boss monster. Overwhelmed by the turn of events, Chong is left in a state of shock and can do nothing but go along with the flow. Choi instructs Yang-Su to conserve their strength for a little longer, as they were warned of an upcoming wave in the next few hours. In order to avoid draining their stamina, Choi decides to use the hunters as a shield. Additionally, Choi assigns In Chang with the task of killing Legion, no matter what it takes. As the first wave hits, a horde of sea monster lizards charge towards the hunters. Despite knowing the monsters to be of high level, the hunters rush into battle, only to suffer casualties due to the monsters' mysterious water spray. Meanwhile, Chong wants to aid them, but he realizes he needs to conserve his stamina for later. In a sudden twist of events, the members of the North Army launch a surprise attack on the sea monster lizards from behind, hoping to rally the other hunters and boost their morale. With their swords drawn and shields raised, they charge fearlessly towards the terrifying creatures, ready to do whatever it takes to protect their comrades. Inspired by their bravery, Chong feels a rush of adrenaline coursing through his veins. He knows that he must do his part in this battle, so he wields his fire spear with fierce determination and charges towards the monsters. In a stunning display of power and skill, he manages to take down multiple lizards at once, leaving the other hunters in awe of his abilities. As they watch in amazement, he can't help but feel a newfound respect for the young man. He has truly proven himself to be a force to be reckoned with, a true hero among them. Even In-Chang, who had previously doubted Chong's capabilities, is left astonished by his unexpected development. Only 10 days ago, he believed Chong was still the same, but now he has risen to the rank A level, surpassing In-Chang's wildest expectations. As we return to Chong's side, his incredible strength proves invaluable in the first wave of the battle, which mercifully ends without causing significant casualties. Though Chong exhausts much of his stamina during the fight, his level increases, and with it, his strength grows even more impressive. Chong delights in having managed to attract the attention of potential sponsors who were impressed by his heroic actions. He believes that with their support, he can become even stronger and more capable of protecting those in need. However, Chong's hopes are dashed when Fall of the Heaven grows dark and ominous, causing all the sponsors to withdraw their offers of support. It becomes clear that the powers do not look favorably upon his ambitions, leaving Chong to wonder if he will ever be able to achieve his goal of becoming a true hero. Sometime later, many hunters begin to approach Chong and offer their help. Choi feels sickened by the sympathy Chong receives, as it disrupts his plan. Nevertheless, he gathers his strength and tries to motivate the hunters once again. Chong, now aware of Choi's weakness, uses this opportunity to rally the hunters to his side and reach level 30. After a grueling battle, they manage to survive the 5th wave, though 4 hunters lost their lives. The surviving hunters feel despair creeping in. Frustrated and sickened, Chong confronts Choi, questioning why he failed to act despite being humiliated. Knowing that his plan has been ruined, Choi has nothing left to say but to continue with his plan regardless. As Wave 5 ends, the boss dungeon finally appears in the form of a water golem. Its strength increases and becomes invincible when in contact with water, making the situation even more dire. The hunters are left wondering how they can possibly defeat it. One deadly water burst from the golem could easily destroy the land, leaving them with no other option but to attack. The attacking and ranged hunters launch their attacks at the monster, but they seem to have no effect whatsoever. It's only Chong's spear that manages to land a hit on the golem. Legion explains that in order to harm these monsters, the hunters must coat their weapons with magic. Upon receiving the order, all of the hunters make an attempt and are pleasantly surprised to find that they can use the rank skill. Chong's suggestion of coating their weapons with magic proves to be effective in injuring the water golem. However, the challenge is that the monster has a fast regeneration rate. At this point, Chong realizes that the water golem's vulnerability is in its core. He patiently waits for the right moment when the core is exposed and hurls his spear with all his might. Chong hurls his spear with all his might, finally finding its mark as it pierces through the water golem's core, successfully defeating the mid-boss dungeon. As a reward, he receives the precious water gem and a significant increase in his level. The feat catches the attention of several sponsors who can't help but be impressed with the young man's remarkable performance. It is then that the other hunters begin to realize that Chong is no ordinary hunter, but a rank S hunter just 2 months ago, making him a super rookie. From a distance, Choi observes this with growing anger as Chong continues to strengthen and improve, becoming a formidable opponent with each passing second. In-Chang approaches Choi from behind and requests that he makes a promise to surrender, as despite the many hunters who have lost their lives, Choi remains motionless. However, In-Chang is met with insults from his fellow guild member, which angers Choi. In response, Choi declares that they will work harder and become heroes. When he turns around, In-Chang has disappeared, leaving his mask behind as a sign of quitting Guild North Army. Although they have lost one of their higher-ups, Choi is unfazed by the departure. Then, the members of the Guild North Army engage in combat with the monsters, only to realize that their levels are far inferior to Chong's. In a relentless display of strength, Chong goes on a killing spree, taking down hundreds of monsters despite using up a considerable amount of stamina. He is determined to level up and become even stronger. Suddenly, he is surprised by the appearance of a woman who comes to his aid. To his astonishment, she is wearing clothes belonging to In Chang, revealing that the person behind the iron mask is, in fact, a woman and not a man. Chong still harbors suspicions that Chang may be aligned with Choi, and thus he keeps his distance. However, after witnessing In Chang's unwavering determination to quit North Guild Army, the Legion finally welcomes her into their fold. Unfortunately, the cost of the guild change resulted in the loss of some hunters, and a somber mood falls over the group. As the hunters mourn their losses, there were some members of the North Army who belittled In Chang, calling her a traitor. Despite this hurtful treatment, In Chang remained resolute in her decision, knowing that she had followed her heart in joining the Legion and being inspired by Chong's unbreakable determination. After a brief respite, the dungeon boss finally appears. The hunters prepare themselves to face the final boss of the dungeon, only to be surprised by the appearance of a colossal snake, which towers over them with its menacing presence. In Chang shares with Chong that Choi has come up with a plan to defeat the monster, which instills a newfound sense of determination in the young hunter. Meanwhile, Choi's side issues an unusual command, revealing their intention to manipulate the dungeon boss to their advantage. Choi summons his skills, conjuring rain to bolster the already formidable dragon boss even further. The hunters brace themselves for what is sure to be a difficult and challenging battle. Choi conjures a torrential rainstorm, but his water-based powers are rendered ineffective against Chong's protective monster. Frustrated and enraged, Chong lunges at Choi, determined to take down the man responsible for their predicament. In the ensuing scuffle, Choi manages to corner Chong, but finds himself unable to land a decisive blow. Despite his newfound strength and skill, the protection afforded by the dungeon boss makes it nearly impossible to take down his target. Determined not to be defeated, Chong resorts to desperate measures, unleashing a reckless and unconventional strategy in his bid to overcome Choi's defenses. Lee Chong hatches a daring plan to defeat Choi, involving luring him into the monster's stomach to maximize the power of his fire element. Meanwhile, In Chang sets her sights on Yang-Su, engaged in a fierce and enthralling battle. Each warrior proves to be a worthy opponent, withstanding each other's powerful attacks. In the monster's belly, Chang seizes the advantage, igniting the dry interior with his fire abilities. Choi's strength is weakened by the overwhelming heat, struggling to keep up with the intensity of the flames. The scene is fraught with tension as Chang battles to overcome the monster and eliminate Choi once and for all. Meanwhile, Chong's strength grows tremendously as he takes on Choi in a fierce battle. In a moment of desperation, Choi launches a reckless attack, but Chong swiftly retaliates with a powerful blow from his spear, piercing through Choi's abdomen. The skeleton bracelet worn by Chong then begins to react, absorbing Choi's soul. This confirms the rumor that the bracelet could only absorb the soul of a hero. As Chong comes to terms with a surreal turn of events, he is taken aback by the sudden arrival of a sponsor who eliminates the threat posed by the Riverside group. However, this also means that the incarnation and the sponsor have both perished, leaving Chong to ponder the consequences of their actions. The Demon King's book failed to mention that sponsors never die, which comes as a surprise to Chong. Suddenly, a crow emerges from Choi's soul and reveals its purpose. Chong declares his ambition to become the strongest hunter beyond the Demon King, prompting the bird to vanish. Shortly after, a notification appears announcing the successful completion of the mission and the clearing of the dungeon, which fills Chong with excitement. In a sudden move, In Chang swiftly slashes Yang-Su from above, putting an end to his evil intentions towards Chong. Despite the consequences of her actions, In Chang has no regrets as she believes that it is Yang-Su's rightful punishment. The skull bracelet reacts accordingly, devouring Yang-Su's soul, finally resolving this problem. Feeling that she has nothing else to offer, In Chang expresses her intention to retire from hunting. However, Chong sees potential in her and wants to restrain her from leaving, knowing that she can become a great hunter in the future. Before that, he has to help her calm down from the intense battle. As they exit the dungeon, a group of reporters crowd around them, eager to interview the new superstar hunter. The reporters inquire about Choi's whereabouts and question why he didn't return. To ease the tension, Hyung quickly seizes the opportunity and elevates Chong as the hero of the dungeon. This sudden turn of events astonishes the reporters, who are unaware that Chong is already a renowned super rookie. However, Chong can't help but feel a tinge of annoyance, knowing that out of the 110 hunters who initially entered the dungeon, only 30 managed to survive until the end. In another location, the crow that appeared during the battle reports the events to the association chairman. The chairman is ecstatic, praising Chong as a deity of sorts. As he exits the room, he informs his subordinates that the Northern Army is now unnecessary. Moreover, in another location, In Chong appears restless and appears weakened. Despite being betrayed, she still longs for her guild. Suddenly, a former member of the North Army approaches her from behind and encourages her to remain hopeful, assuring her that she is innocent and that the guild leader is the one who was wrong. They urge her not to lose hope. Meanwhile, Chong and Hyung discuss the current news, and it is revealed that Chong has earned the nickname of the underdog. Hyung passionately argues that the underdog nickname is not fitting for Chong, but Chong appears lost in thought, paying little attention to him. Suddenly, Chong drops a bombshell, expressing his desire to use the foreign phrase, "hero playing for me." Hyung is left visibly shocked and terrified, his face twisted in horror. The room falls silent, and the only sound is Chong's heavy breathing. His aura expands, giving the impression that he is ready to unleash his fury on someone. He turns to Hyung and coldly asks, "Are you a member of Asgard, Sun Goose?" His eyes fixed on Hyung, trying to read his reaction. Hyung looks like a deer caught in headlights for a brief moment. His mind races to make sense of what he just heard. It is clear that this information is not widely known, and Hyung's reaction is a clear indication of this. Later, it is revealed that Chong met Heimdall, the leader of Asgard, when he was already a member of the organization. Hyung starts to comprehend how Chong has made such quick progress, and then Chong stuns him by revealing his desire to join Asgard, a group comprising the most skilled hunters. Hyung explains that only the association chairman has the power to grant membership to Asgard, since its leader is none other than the current association chief. Later that night, Chong seeks out In Chong and asks her to join Asgard. At first, In Chong is reluctant, as she is hesitant to trust any organization due to her past experiences with a corrupt guild. Despite having doubts about Chong's capability to handle significant goals, In Chong appears restless and uncertain of what to do. Chong makes an unexpected declaration, claiming to be from the future and warning of an impending war. He urges them to work together to overcome this challenge. Although it is unclear what occurs during the rest of the conversation, despite the uncertain outcome of their discussion, Chong does not waste any time and immediately heads home trying to summon his avatar. As Chong activates the avatar, his anticipation is mounting as he expects the bone dragon to emerge. However, to his surprise, only the skull head appears. Despite this, he is determined to master the mana stream, an energy that requires precision and control. Unfortunately, the instructions in the book are lacking in detail, leaving him frustrated and unsure of how to proceed. Just as he is feeling defeated, a message from Kim comes in, offering to take him to the association. Chong's heart leaps at the prospect of meeting with the association chairman, Zhang. He has heard of the legendary hunter's prowess and wisdom, and he knows that this is a rare opportunity to learn from the best. The narrative progresses with Chong's arrival at the association, where he is received by the chairman, Zhang. The book he had studied extensively spoke highly of Zhang's extraordinary capabilities, even claiming that he was on par with the Demon King himself. As he enters the room to meet Zhang, Chong feels a mixture of excitement and anxiety. The meeting begins cordially enough, with Zhang greeting Chong with a smile and a handshake. However, the atmosphere suddenly shifts when Zhang's expression turns grim, and a black aura surrounds him. In a menacing tone, Zhang demands, "Who are you?" Zhang, as an extraordinary person, asserts that he already knows everything about Chang. He acknowledges Chang's remarkable development after awakening, which impresses him greatly. However, Zhang's line of questioning takes a turn when he asks Chang about the circumstances surrounding his son's death. Chang explains that he acted in self-defense as his son had attempted to kill him, leaving him no other choice. Despite Chang's justification, Zhang remains unconvinced and presses on, asking him whether he truly believes he is innocent of any wrongdoing. After all, it doesn't violate the existing rules. Hearing these words, Zhang is angry because Yang's son was his freed slave. Even though Zhang is angry, Chang immediately cuts off his words and says that he wants to join Asgard. Here, during this, Zhang doesn't get angry and asks to join. But before that, Zhang asks why Chang wants to join Asgard. Chang replies that Asgard's vision and mission to save humans interests him. Chang here is also a little bit fishing by saying that he is Odin, the king of Asgard. Hearing this, Zhang becomes increasingly interested in Chang, who knows everything about himself and his goals. This doesn't make Zhang angry because his curiosity about Chang makes him obsessed with him. "And don't ask if you know about my eyes, of course," Chang replies that he knows that his eyes are the eye of truth. Knowing this, Zhang becomes increasingly obsessed with Chang and allows him to join Asgard. But Zhang doesn't let Chang get in for free and instead gives him some entrance exams to test whether he fits into the Asgard group. These tests will be faced by Chang during the Raid Gate in London, which is where this activity will be carried out in a moment. So, Zhang here asks Chang to be prepared for the raid. Before leaving, Zhang uses the mental restriction ability, which silences Chang so he doesn't tell the secret of Zhang to other people. However, it seems that his ability does not affect Chang. This is because from the start, he already knows that Zhang will use that ability to silence his mouth. Not long after being at the cafe, Chang finally comes after several days and agrees to meet here to discuss something. At this meeting, Chang tells the reason why Zhang didn't kill him, even though he knows of his identity. It is that Zhang doesn't think that he is a threat. Finding this, Chang is very sad because it turns out that he is nobody. And the second reason Chang asks Chang there is to join him. Chang also reveals his goal to form a peaceful world without discrimination. Feeling here no one trusts Chang, so inevitably, here Chang trusts Chang. After Chang agrees to follow him, Chang asks what he is going to do to create a peaceful world. Before saying this, Chang asks what item Chang got from the sponsor at the gate of Lin River. Here, because Chang trusts Chang, she tells him that the item he got is Bloodstone from Ming Chang's sponsor named Prince Charming. Upon hearing this, Chang is very happy because his suspicions are correct, that Chang has obtained the Bloodstone from the beginning. Chang targets this side item to strengthen the immortal secret to be perfect, and coincidentally, Chang gives the item freely to him. Even though if he uses the item it could make him stronger, but here Chang refuses and says that Chang knows more about the item, so it is better for him to play with it and be able to use the item to its fullest. Upon hearing this, Chang is very grateful and will make the most of this stone. After getting the Bloodstone, Chang immediately went to the blacksmith and asked the blacksmith to combine his and Chang's weapons to attach the Bloodstone. The blacksmiths who saw this item were very surprised and asked why Chang was able to get this very rare item. Of course, because there is only one Bloodstone, here Chang will break the Bloodstone into two parts so that it can be attached to the sword from Chang. Knowing this, the blacksmith was very surprised because he did not expect this rare stone to be separated and attached to the weapon, and because of this knowledge, the blacksmith will not charge Chang any money. One day later, it can be seen that Chang and Chang are doing a raid to try out their new swords and practice for the upcoming test. With the effects of Bloodstone, they can absorb blood from enemies and strengthen their weapons, and the stronger the sword against it will increase over time. Upon hearing this, Chang could not believe that her decision to give the item to Chang was the right decision. Not far from here, the boss gate of the Ogre Warrior appears. it can be seen that the strength of the monster is very terrible and has a very strong attack. But on the Legion side, he didn't expect that the attack from the ogre was so strong and that he could withstand the attack with his sword and then slash the monster to death. Seeing this, Chang could not believe that this decision to make In-Chang his subordinate was the right decision. With this, Chang is no longer worried about her because In-Chang is a very strong woman. One day later, before the exam begins, Chang is met by Hyung. Hyung's arrival here is to give him advice not to take the exam because he has a hunch that Chang will die while taking the exam. Even though Hyung suggested that he should not take part, Chang would still go because some business made him unable to refuse to take the exam. In the morning, Chang and In-Chang will be escorted by Kim, where Kim directs them both towards a portal to London. Shortly after the portal opens, Chang and In-Chang enter there while their legion was greeted by 2 hunter associations from London who would direct them both to the event venue. In the evening, they both attended a party to get to know the hunters from the other countries, and of the many hunters, there was one person who stood out at the event. That man was big and looked very strong. It seemed that the man was expressing his disappointment towards the Korean Association, which sent a weak hunter for this event. While Chang saw that, he finally realized that the man was a member of the Olympics group. This unexpected thing made Chang a little worried because the arrival of this man could disrupt all his plans. Shortly thereafter, a man came and realized that the big man was named George and his title was Odysseus. Knowing this made Chang even more worried because in the Demon King's notebook, it was said that Odysseus would be killed by his colleague named Hercules. What surprised Chang was that the man was named Demetrius, and he held the title Hercules. Of course, with the name of the title alone, you can guess how strong this man is. Some of these unexpected things make Chang's plan a little constrained, but even so, there are still ways to win in this event. The way is possible to beat them, but the cunning way that makes Chang win without having to fight Hercules. Meanwhile, Demetrius, who knows that Chang is the underdog from Korea, intends to shake his hand to check whether the rumors circulating are true, that the underdog of Korea is very strong. However, before shaking hands with Chang, In-Chang stopped him with his hand. It's a shame what was done was a careless thing because the physical strength of the two of them was far in comparison, and as a result, In-Chang broke his bones because he couldn't withstand the counterattack from Demetrius. The next day, because there was no event, Chang and In-Chang will do a raid to increase their strength, but the main aim of the raid this time is Chang asking In-Chang to get the Ogre Killer title, which is the purpose of this exercise, to guard and anticipate attacks from Demetrius, while Chang's goals are different, where he will go inside and find an item that will lead him to victory. After explaining that, Chang went and asked In-Chang to be there soon. Chang returned and brought a large group of ogres so that In-Chang could kill them and get the title of Ogre Slayer. At first, In-Chang was a little hesitant, but this was an order from Chang, so she did it. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Chang will send his summons to help In-Chang if anything happens. Meanwhile, In-Chang fights. Chang will go deeper to find items to kill Hercules, and soon after, he found a monster that had the item. None other than to be able to get the item, Chang had to face a dungeon boss named Red-Eyed Ogre Mage. In Korea, it seems there is a commotion between Hyung and Jang. It seemed that Hyung met and said that he did not accept Jang's decision to send Chang there. Of course, the reason Hyung was against him was that in the battle, Hercules would be present. With the presence of Hercules, it is certain that Chang will not win and will not come back alive. Hearing that was very shocking because he didn't think that the Olympics group had betrayed him. Even though before the Olympics, it had been agreed that the Asgard team would win the pickle. This unexpected incident makes Jang angry, and he will send people to help Chang with the reason that if Chang dies, then he will die. Out of curiosity, because here, who is still interested in everything, why does Chang know about secrets from him in Asgard? On the other hand, Chang is still fighting the boss. Over it, it can be seen that even though it has a very large body, the speed of the motorbike is very fast. And that made it difficult for Chang because in this raid, he didn't want to waste enough energy. However, because of this unexpected situation, he inevitably had to use his full abilities to defeat the monster. Of course, with his great strength, finally, Chang managed to subdue the monster and get the item he was looking for. In different places, we see the reason why Hercules could be here. It seems that he has violated the Olympic rules and intends to win this match. And here, George, who at first didn't want to get involved, couldn't help but help. Because since the first commotion made by Hercules, he was also blamed. And inevitably, after this match is over, the Olympic officials will severely punish them both for violating the agreement. We are in the direction of Chang, where on the day before the event starts, he takes time to go to the alchemy shop, where the goal is to smear the weapon with the red ore that was obtained before. And it just so happens that this place he is going to is one of the greatest blacksmiths in history who has the nickname Hephaestus. Of course, at first, Hephaestus is confused where Chang got the item. What is certain is that you can get the item. Chang is very strong. But here Hephaestus asks what the point of smearing his weapon with this item is. Here, Chang doesn't explain anything and just does what he asks. After a few days of waiting, the event finally starts. Hunters from all over the world gather to enter the gate. As expected, before entering, Hercules comes to Chang and says that he will kill him. But here, Chang just replies with a smile. With that, the gate opens and all the hunters go inside. Before entering, Chang tells Chang to run immediately when he enters. I don't know what the reason is, but Chang obeys his words. And it is true that when entering the gate, many people are dead. Seeing this, Chang is very shocked at how many hunters could have died even though the gate was open 5 minutes ago. Seeing this, Chang can't bear it and intends to save one hunter who can still stand, but unexpectedly, Naya is attacked by Hercules. Chang resists, but luckily because Chang comes at the right time, he is saved and flees to a safe place. Once in a safe place, Chang asks Chang about what happened. Chang replies that the dead hunter was not killed by Hercules, but it was an explosion prepared by someone to be able to kill Hercules. Seeing this, Chang really can't believe this incident. Next, Chang will start a plan to kill Hercules, and to start his plan, Chang asks for his summons to find the hunter who has trapped Hercules. And soon after finding him, Chang will remember them and make them become bait for Hercules to follow him. It is unclear what Chang is doing. What is certain is that he's seen directing Hercules to where the dungeon boss is. Continuing the story, the atmosphere becomes tense as Hercules and George are caught in the trap of Legion, an infamous and ruthless enemy. As they successfully eliminate the explosive makers, the situation quickly turns dangerous as the lifeless corpses suddenly come to life and launch a vicious attack on Hercules. Despite their summoner abilities, the undead foes prove to be no match for Hercules, who swiftly dispatches them with ease. Meanwhile, Chang and Chang make their way towards the boss's location, determined to join the fight and aid their comrades. However, the journey is not without its own challenges, as they must navigate through treacherous terrain and fend off any enemy attacks along the way. Despite the obstacles, they remain steadfast in their mission, driven by their desire to put an end to Legion's evil reign. On the other hand, on the way to where Bosley John is stopped by someone, it turns out that someone is a messenger from Zhang named Here. Zhang has sent orders that will help, and the boss has also confirmed that the competition will be won by Asgard. Finding this out, Chang doesn't accept their help, but he refuses because he came here not to win for nothing. But his purpose changed when Hercules came. Even though this is considered impossible, Chang will try to win this competition and become a member of Asgard. Anef, who hears these words, is very shocked and says that he can't help because it isn't an order from Jack. But it's a decision from Chang himself, like that, and Anef can't force his will and will go home. But here, Anef doesn't go straight home but keeps an eye on them because he wants to know how Chang can beat the dungeon boss with Hercules simultaneously. Not long after looking for quite a long time, finally, Chang arrives at the hiding place of the boss gate named Catalan. It can be seen that the monster is very strong and very terrible. And here it is revealed that Chang's main plan, which is why he brought Hercules here, was that Hercules would defeat the new boss gate, and Chang would attack him. And of course, to be able to overwhelm Hercules, Chang must make the monster enter the strongest mode. As soon as Hercules sets foot in the designated area, his keen senses alert him to a looming danger. Without warning, the group begins to tremble beneath his feet, and before he can react, a ferocious monster emerges from the depths of the earth, its eyes gleaming with malice. Hercules springs into action, meeting the monster's first attack with a powerful punch that sends it flying back several feet. But he knows better than to let his guard down, and just as he braces himself for another assault, the monster's entire body convulses and a fiery aura engulfs it. In an instant, the creature transforms into a terrifying hulking beast, towering over Hercules with its massive, rippling muscles. Hercules instinctively takes a step back, realizing that this is no ordinary monster. Meanwhile, Chang and his companions watch from a safe distance, their hearts racing with excitement and apprehension. They know that the monster is now at its strongest, and it's time for the next phase of their plan to begin. Without hesitation, they flee from the scene, leaving Hercules to face the beast alone. But to their surprise, Hercules doesn't back down. Instead, he stands his ground, ready to face whatever comes his way. Unfortunately, the speed monster is very fast and Hercules has to deal with it. The duel between Hercules and the monster is so fierce that the hunters who arrive can only be silent and trembling. Meanwhile, on Chang's side, he starts the ultimate plan. Chang immediately smears his weapon with the items that he had prepared beforehand. After seeing a gap, Chang throws a spear at Hercules. However, unexpectedly, George pushes the spear aside. Seeing this, Inchang steps forward to fight George so that Chang can successfully attack with his spear. Next, there's a fairly fierce duel between Inchang and George. Attack after attack, they are able to hurt each other. But even though Inchang is very strong, his attacks haven't been able to scratch George. However, things turn around when Inchang is assisted by a summon from Chang. Lots of monsters come and stop George at the same time. Seeing this, Chang focuses on finding gaps so that his second attack can stab Hercules. But before that, Chang does not believe in the power of Hercules. How can it be that even though the monster enters the strongest mode plus the demonic energy, Hercules is still able to withstand the strongest attack from Manzi? Instead, he turns it around. Meanwhile, on Inchang's side, they also wonder how they can kill someone as strong as Hercules. It turns out that Chang still has a way and is waiting for Hercules to enter Berserker mode. According to the book Demon King, Hercules will get out of control when he enjoys fighting. And of course, to get Hercules to enter Berserker mode, like it or not, Chang has to come down to fight him. Seeing Chang come down to fight him makes Hercules very happy, and he serves him. It doesn't take long for Hercules to use his strongest power to kill Legion. Meanwhile, on the NF side, they see this and feel that Chang will be injured as a result of the attack, especially since they see Chang gathering mana in defense. If Chang does that, it will still be useless because the attack from Hercules is very strong. However, it turns out that what Chang is doing is not what they thought, because what he did before was just a distraction. Chang goes to attack with his spear. Even though this is a powerful attack given by Chang, in reality, the attack does not seriously injure Hercules, and instead reverses the attack to throw Chang. But a small attack is enough for him because it's not an ordinary attack, but his weapon has been coated with poison. Of course, Hercules, who didn't realize this, was shocked and felt the effects of the poison, which made him unable to move. Which poison is not poison in general because it is a strength-boosting serum. And why did Chang do this? With the addition of that power, it would make Hercules enter into an uncontrollable Berserker mode that could kill even himself because he was unable to withstand the strength that was in his body. While George, who saw this, immediately headed there to stop his rampage from Hercules, it was stopped by Chang. And thanks to his time, it was too late because the Berserker mode plus the demonic power of Hercules could not be stopped. Even so, here, George still insists on going there to stop him. Well, because Chong doesn't want a future unchanging here, Chong advises George that there is a way to stop Hercules' rampage. We have to wait 5 minutes because according to estimates, after 5 minutes have passed, Hercules will faint because he can't withstand the power. And from the start, Chong had his eyes on this because with Hercules passed out, it was certain he would win. Even though this looks easy, it would be very difficult to withstand Hercules. Seeing this, like it or not, they have to work together to buy time up to 5 minutes. You can see Hercules going crazy and attacking all the hunters who were there. Meanwhile, Cheng is overwhelmed by Hercules' physique, which is getting stronger and stronger. Seeing the hunters have no intention of winning the competition this time and intend to return, remembering that seeing the terrible battle made them afraid to participate. Meanwhile, Phile, from Enev's side, he really couldn't believe all this. Moreover, something made him curious about the ore that Chong brought with him. Out of curiosity about this, Enev will come down to help them stop Hercules. But the help from Enev doesn't change anything because Hercules is invincible. Meanwhile, George, who also did not give up, kept trying to stop him. Unfortunately, Hercules was not aware and took out his mainstay power to attack George. Even though George can avoid it, here the effect of the attack makes deep wounds in him. Not far from there, you can see that Chong is just silent and doesn't do anything. What turned out to be that here Chong was unconscious because Bloodstone had boiled and made Chong vomit blood. And it turns out that the effect is the same as Hercules, where Chong's body is entered by a great force. Different from Hercules, here Chong is still conscious and emits an aura that is stronger than Hercules. And this condition will be used by Chong to fight Hercules in Berserker mode. But before that, here Chong will fight the boss gate first. Because the monster will interfere with the fight, and unexpectedly with just a few attacks, Chong managed to subvert the monster without difficulty. But starting from here, big problems occur where outside suddenly filled with a terrible aura. This aura coming out of Chong's body turns out to absorb the magic in the surrounding, giving him overwhelming strength. And as a result of not being able to withstand this great power, Legion lost control and became unconscious. And in this condition, Chong immediately attacked Hercules. It can be seen that the collision of their attacks was very powerful. However, the powerful attack could not kill Hercules, and only destroyed one hand. But it didn't matter, because with his demonic powers, Hercules' hands returned to normal. Meanwhile, Chong looks to have serious injuries, but the difference is that Chong's regeneration is quite fast. Seeing this, George couldn't believe why all this could be happening and what power Chong had. Next, the battle between Chong and Hercules continues. Seeing this terrible battle, you can only be silent and watch. And soon it was seen that Hercules was defeated by Chong, who managed to stab Hercules with his spear. But here, Chong is not satisfied and intends to kill Hercules, who is in a dying condition. George, who knew this, rushed to stop Chong. On Honey, because it was too fast, he just gave up. And at the same time, suddenly Athena came and stopped the attack with her abilities. With her power, Athena managed to paralyze Chong. Here, Athena felt there was something dangerous about this man because for the first time, she didn't know that there was someone who could absorb natural mana in the entire dungeon. Feeling that this man was very dangerous, Athena decided to kill him. But it was stopped by Songo, who came and said if she attacked him, then it would be a declaration of war on Asgard. Coupled with Enev, who also asked Athena not to kill Legion. With that, finally, Athena discouraged her intention and left. The panel then moves on to the palace, which is where Chong finally wakes up. Though there, Chong wakes up feeling all his bones shattered because of his previous strength. A few days passed, and it was seen that there was a meeting at the round table. You can see Song Gu there still trying to defend Chong from being executed.